Hello students, today let me talk about pollination and the types of the pollinations. You know, the pollination is the transfer of the pollen grains from the anther of the stamen to the receptive stigma of the carpel or pistil, right? So let us know the types of the pollination. The types of the pollination can be of three types: autogamy, geitonogamy, and xenogamy. What is the autogamy? Autogamy is also known as self-pollination. It is a type of pollination which pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of a same flower. Examples of the plants which have autogamy are pea with rice, right? You know, there are two types of the flowers. One is cleistogamous, another one is sesamogamous. Cleistogamous is the type of the flower which is closed. So generally autogamy occurs in closed flowers, cleistogamous flowers. Example is pea, right? Sesamogamous. Sesamogamous means open type of the flowers. Some examples are hibiscus, sunflower, right? Some flowers are having both cleistogamous as well as sesamogamous. Okay, some examples of the plants which have both sesamogamous as well as cleistogamous flowers are viola, oxalis, and camelina. Next type of pollination is geitonogamy. It is a type of pollination where the pollen grains from the anther of a flower are transferred to the stigma of another flower born on the same plant at different branches. Generally, monoecious plants have this type of pollination. Example is cucurbita. You know, geitonogamy is functionally cross-pollination which involves a pollinating agent, but genetically it is similar to autogamy since pollen grains come from same plant. Third type of pollination is known as xenogamy. The type of pollination that involves the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of one plant to the stigma of another is called xenogamy, right? Some examples of the plants which have xenogamy are papaya, maize, etc. Okay students, let us know some advantages of self-pollination. Self-pollination maintains the parental characters or purity of the race indefinitely. Self-pollinating plants don't develop devices for attracting insects. Self-pollination ensures seed production. So some disadvantages of self-pollination: new useful characters are seldom introduced in self-pollination. Vigor and utility of the race decreases with prolonged self-pollination. Variability and hence adaptability to change environment are reduced. The yield is decreased in self-pollination. The size and the number of seeds goes on decreasing generation after generation. These are some disadvantages of self-pollination. Now let us know some agents of pollination. Living or non-living things that pollinate flowers are called pollinating agents. There are two types of pollinating agents. They are abiotic and biotic. Wind and water are abiotic pollinators. Pollination done by wind is called anemophily, right? So let us know some characters of anemophilus flowers. Flowers are small and inconspicuous. Non-essential parts are either absent or reduced in wind pollinating flowers. The flowers are colorless, odorless, and nectarless. Both the stigma and the anther are exerted. Anthers are versatile. Pollen grains are dry, smooth, non-sticky and unwettable. Stigma is a hairy, feathery or branch to catch the wind-borne pollen grains. Pollen grains are produced in a very large number. The tassels you see here are nothing but they are stigma and style, which wave in the wind to trap the pollen grains. Now, water pollination. Water pollination is known as hydrophily. Flowers pollinated by water are called hydrophilus. In a majority of aquatic plants such as water hyacinth and water lily, the flowers emerge above the level of water. So water pollination does not take to such aquatic plants. In this way, most of the aquatic plants are not having water pollination. Instead, they are having insect pollination and wind pollination. So let us know some characters of Hydrophilus flowers. The pollen grains are light but covered with wax. The stigma is sticky but unwettable. Scent, color and nectar are absent. Flowers are small and inconspicuous. Sepals, petals or perianth, if present, are unwettable as they have a whey coating. So types of hydrophily may be of two types. Hydrophily may be done at the surface of the water, that is termed as epihydrophily. Some examples of the plants, water plants or aquatic plants which have epihydrophily are Vallisneria, Hydrilla, etc. So other type of water pollination is known as hypohydrophily, which is done inside the water, right? One example of the plant which has such type of pollination is Zostera. So let us know how does pollination occur in Vallisneria. The female flowers reach the surface of water by the long stalk. The main flowers or pollen grains are released onto the surface of water. They are then carried passively by water currents. They are then carried passively by water currents. The stalk of the female flowers coil and the flower is drawn back inside the water column. So let us know how pollination takes place in Zostera or seagrass. Pollen grains are long and ribbon-like, up to 2000 to 500 micrometer in size. In such pollen grains, exine is absent. The filamentous pollen grains float below the surface of the water as they are a specific gravity exactly similar that of water. Stigmas are quite long. The gametes have a fair chance to come in contact for pollination. Such plants are having mucilaginous covering in the pollen grains to prevent from wetting of water. So let us know some biotic pollinators. Firstly, insects. Insect pollinating flowers are called anemophilus flowers. Insect pollination is termed as anemophily. So let us know some characters of anemophilus flowers. The flowers are of large size. Corolla of flowers is brightly colored. Calyx is petaloid. In some cases, means to be colorful. So it is termed as petaloid. Bracts may become bright colored. Some flowers are very fragrant. The pollen grains are heavy. They bear honey secreting glands. The stigmatic surface is sticky. Pollen grains may be joined to form pollina. Let us know other types of pollinations also. Ornithophily, pollinated by birds. One example is the bottlebrush. Chiropterophily is a type of pollination done by bats. Melacophily is the type of the pollination done by snails. Example is cobra plant. Ophiophyli. Ophiophyli is the type of pollination done by snakes. One example is creeping plants. Myricophily. This is a type of pollination done by ants. So let us know about our breeding devices. If self-pollination is done continuously from one generation to next generation, many generations, there may be disadvantages like inbreeding depression. Inbreeding depression means decreasing the fertility after continuous self-pollination. To prevent from such inbreeding depression, flowers need to have cross-pollination, right? Our breeding devices can also be defined as devices which prevent from self-pollination. Some our breeding devices are declining, dichogamy. What is declining? Unisexuality. In unisexual plants, self-pollination is not possible, right? So it is a first device which prevent from self-pollination. Next is dichogamy. The anthers and the stigma mature at different times in a monoecious flowers to prevent self-pollination. It is of two types, protandry and protogyny. In protandry, anthers mature earlier than stigma in the same flower. Example is found in salvia. Protogyny. If stigma matures earlier than the anther in a bisexual flower. Example is found in gloriosa. So next our breeding device is hercogamy. It is a mechanical device to prevent self-pollination. It is found in Calotropis, right? So next type of our breeding device is heterostyly. Means different height of style and stamen makes cross-pollination and cannot support self-pollination. Next is self-sterility or self-incompatibility. It is a genetic phenomenon of preventing the pollen from fertilizing ovules of the same flower by inhibiting pollen germination or pollen tube growth in the pistil due to the presence of similar self-sterile genes. Example is found in tobacco. Students, let us do this much only for today. Okay, in next class, let me talk about fertilization and post-fertilization events, right?